Topic today, and I want you guys to participate if you're watching this live on Periscope, is millennials just out in USA Today as well as CBS News. They said there's a new retirement number. So for everyone that wants to retire, what is the millennial group? And let me just, it's kind of a wishy-washy age group. It's pretty much from 1982. I just missed it, so I'm Gen X, till about 2004. That's where they predict Gen Y is sitting right now, right? So, what do you think if I was born around the early part of that, 1980-ish, okay, and I want to retire, how much money do you think I need to set aside in order to retire? I want to get you guys, so if you're watching this live, what do you think? If you're a millennial, first of all, let me know if you are a millennial and you are in the early half. How much money do you think you need to put aside in order to retire? If you are sitting here today, hey, it's, how much time do I got? Like 2 million, 2.5 million. A lot more than I have now, 1 to 2 BDCs. David and Stacy, you guys are awesome. All right, according to USA Today, and I think this is low, this is what they said. If you're at the early part, you're going to have to sock away $1.8 million. And if you're in the later half of that, 1990 age group, you guys are going to need more, $2.5 million by the time you attempt to retire. We're assuming retirement is maybe, the beautiful age, the young age of 65 years old. Who on earth wants to wait till then? And who knows if we're going to make it till then? And I think that's a big part of the millennials, the YOLO mentality. Listen, you live every day. You die once as far as what we know, right? And who knows what happens later on. But you got to want to make sure you're planning for things. But in argument, who wants to try to wait all the way to where we actually get to that retirement age? You know what I mean? That's kind of crazy. Why not do something now to plan for that? Anyways, this assumes a few things, these numbers. This assumes that we're going to have a 2% inflation rate, right? Feel the burn. 2% inflation rate. And it's assuming that you're going to want to retire on about $35,000 to $40,000 living expense, what that feels like today, being able to retire and live a lifestyle with that. I'm going to tell you that that's not nearly enough, and all the things you're going to need to take care of financially is probably not going to get done around $35,000, $40,000 a year. Crazy, right? Crazy. Anyway, sorry. If you're watching this on YouTube, I gotta watch all the speakers that are coming up live on Periscope. It's always crazy. Anyways, so here's the deal. If $1 million would be worth, here's with the 2% inflation, here's how much it would be 32 years from now. It would be about having $530,000 by the time you retired. So $1 million today, 32 years from now, is going to be about $530,000. I just want to put that in your head real quick. So a lot of people have that, well, I don't know where you're going to get the investment percentage, right? I don't know if you're going to get the investment percentage. I'm going to put money away and then be able to get 3, 4, 5, 6% on it. And then some people go, well, I'm just going to stash it away because there's no good place to put it. But you're losing money if you have that mentality. I'm just going to sock it away. And imagine just someone, you put $1 million in the bank, you wait 32 years. It's as if someone robbed $500,000 from you by the time you turn around and go to spend it, right? Here's the deal. So this is saying, let's say you actually put the money away and you were able to get 5% return on your money, okay? I think that's a little generous, but let's just say hypothetical, imaginary fairy world, right? With those who believe in all the, Santa Claus and all this great stuff, 5% return, okay? If you are just starting now in the early part of that age group, right? And you wanted to sock away enough money to have that 1 million nest egg, you would have to sock away $2,000 per month with guaranteed 5% return that you're going to get for that for 32 years. So how many people, millennials, I'm talking to you guys, could sock away $2,000, find a way to take the $2,000 and get a 5% return on it, and do that month after month after month for the next 32 years? Okay, just think about that for a minute. Okay, for those who are at the other end and you have a little bit longer, let's say you just started now. If you had at least 48 years to retirement, you could put $1,000 a month away for the next 48 years if you could get a 5% return. What are your thoughts? Let me hear from Periscope. What are your thoughts on just that? How many people do you think actually do this? And I'm saying depressing news so you can be aware of it, because I pulled the stat. This is USA Today, by the way, pulling from this. Yeah, a lot of people, it's never going to happen for most people. And you know what? As I was reading through the news today, this is CBS News. And it had nothing to do with the USA Today article. It had to do with a retirement survey, which to me was kind of hysterical. I'm going to give you 3 tips, by the way, at the end of this to hopefully make you a little more excited about the depressing news. But here's the deal. It's depressing, so nobody thinks about it, or they have these crazy theories of how you can, invest your money. I've had people, retirement planners, sit down and tell me these crazy ideas of, move it here, have a diverse portfolio, and but crazy ideas of what to do with the money. So anyways, CBS News. Okay, someone said penny stocks. Oh boy. CBS News. It was a 2016 retirement survey. Okay, they surveyed, I believe it was a couple thousand people from this, and you can look it up today, by the way, in CBS News. Okay, it said 63% of those they surveyed said they were actually confident they have the ability to retire. Okay, 63%. And it went on and on to talk about that. But here was the part, as I was reading through the percentages, get this, 48% actually never calculated how much they actually need in order to be confident to retire. Let me go back. 63% said they're confident. 48% they had no clue when asked. Yes, I can retire. Well, how much do you need between now and retirement to retire? Are you actually on track? And 48% had no clue, right? So, which just goes to show you from that first half of what I showed you, it's depressing. Nobody wants to think about it. It's cover your ears. I'm just going to keep working. Whatever we go. It's like we're talking to like 10-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I'm just going to figure it's just going to happen somehow, some way. How about this? 39% said they are just guessing. They guess. They're just guessing that it's going to all work. I think I need 100 grand put away. I think I do this. Dude, I don't know. I'm just reading what people have been surveyed, what they say. I think it's craziness, but it's on there. So anyways, if you are a millennial, yes, blindly trust. I don't know if I blindly trust a finance guy unless he's worth billions and he's doing something right that he's involving you in. Guessing, not a great strategy. Being able to sock away that money, and what would you do with it? I think the big part is, what do I do if I do have that money? Where can you invest it? Where can you get a return? Can you get 5%? All of those things is kind of a big question mark. So millennials, I got 3 things that I would suggest to you for you guys to do right now. And I'm a Gen X, right? I'm 2 years earlier before this. You guys have some funny suggestions on Periscope, man. I don't know if I can even look at it while I read this. But here's 3 big tips, and there's a lot in these tips. Obviously, don't have time to go through them all, but here's what I would say. Is number 1, especially if you're younger, stay financially nimble. Stay financially nimble, number 1. That means that do not go out and go get the huge house. Do not get the great car. You're going to be tempted, especially like in my age bracket with 33, 32, 30, 28. Some people are now getting some type of financial income coming in that's substantial. They have some responsibility. They may have someone that they share a house with or a life with, maybe kids, something like that. right? So you have to stay financially nimble. You're going to watch all your friends and neighbors, and maybe they get upgrades and nice stuff. But you have to stay financially nimble. So it's not only just living in your means, it's being able to not be tied down by long-term debt, because that affects everything, right? That affects everything. If I had $100,000 in student loan debt, and then I had a $150,000 mortgage, and I had a car note, and I have a cell, all of a sudden now I'm tied to have to do something to pay that debt off. Otherwise I lose it all. I destroy my credit, maybe bankruptcy for some of those, who knows, right? So you're tied, and then you end up having to do something you don't like, and then the things that are options for most millennials aren't long-term financially strong options, so you end up being vulnerable, right? You end up wasting your time doing something that's not going to get you ahead because you simply have this debt load too big for you to postpone it, so you're in survival mode, right? You're just simply waking up every day, grinding it out. But here, if you're... hold on, I just want to read David Watt. A new car only impresses your friends once. That's true. And by the way, you get a new car, it's fun for like 2 weeks, and then it's like, who cares? The excitement's over. So think about this. Think about getting things that you can get in and out of different situations. I'm big on I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but even a car lease. You're in the lease. A low car lease, the car's new, you don't have to deal with repairs. It's covered by the lease or whatever you're doing. You're in and out, and you're not tied to a long-term debt or something you got in over your head, right? You're in and out. Same thing with housing. Listen, I just bought a house this year, and I'm going to tell you to postpone that. I didn't go huge. I went with something that was big enough that we had comfortable space, we could work. But at the same time, there's huge expenses that go with it. There's huge money you're going to pay if you actually do the long-term mortgage of that. Be nimble. Here's the other thing. Don't go back to college if you don't know what you want to be, or don't be in college if you don't know what on earth you're going to spend your college degree doing. Or maybe it's a bad financial plan. You know what I mean? So think about all these different things. I just want you to strongly look at the ability, if you can, to stay nimble. It gets harder as you get older because you're trying to compete, against everyone. Who cares? You're competing against yourself. Stay nimble and stay out of debt. Be adjustable. And I guarantee you're going to be able to make moves when opportunities come because you did that. Okay? You need to be able to do that. Number 2, what do you guys think about that, by the way? Give me your comments. If you're on YouTube, you can post them down here. If you're on Periscope, shoot them on here as well. Huge. I've seen a lot of people just go into loads of debt, and then they end up working 20 years at these great jobs that they just have to get through. But all these great opportunities they can't touch because all their time's invested in just survival to pay the debt off. It's crazy. Number 2. And this is kind of a vague one, but it's a big one, is be willing to outwork everyone. I'm not saying destroy your competition. I'm actually going to tell you to do the opposite, to collaborate rather than compete. But be willing to outwork everyone. In my business, I always say that I'm hungry and waiting for the person who will prove that they can outwork me. I haven't met him yet. But because if you can outwork anyone, you can get ahead. You can go farther than most people. Like a lot of people, here's what I mean by this. I know some people who are struggling financially, and they work their job, they clock out at 5, and they're so exhausted that they just waste the second half of their day, right? And then they complain about being broke or not getting ahead. But if that person could turn around and be willing to put in 3, 4, 5 hours doing another thing to increase their income, they're going to get ahead. Most people don't realize you're at a 20 to 30% workload of what you could actually accomplish. And you can get stuck in that rut of getting tired by 5. I don't have the energy anymore. I'm whatever age. I'm this. I've been doing this. A lot of people get stuck in that. A great book, by the way, if you want to increase your ability to work harder, longer, and be more efficient at it, is 10X. That's a great book that, to me, just got me hardwired to get from this little productivity level to 10 to 20 times that. I'm not saying work until you die or work till you drop, but I'm saying there's hours in your day where instead of TV, you're going to take that hour and you're going to put it to something productive to increase your finances or increase your assets or develop more income or develop leverage, things like that. So be willing to outwork everyone. You can get ahead if you do that. If you're willing, if you're just that person that gets tired at the end of the day and you cash in, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. You got to outpace, outwork. And by the way, I don't mean hours. I don't mean physically being there, but what can you do to constantly move yourself ahead, free yourself from certain things you don't want to be a part of, right? To basically enhance your life. How much can you work to enhance your life? And it doesn't have to be hours, okay? But it's just the willingness to do that and do whatever it takes to get it done. And number 3, I strongly urge you, if you don't have this, that you have to develop leveraged income. All right, everyone kind of like, drum roll. Everyone talks about residual income or cash flow or assets or whatever, 1,000 different words for it. But you have to develop leveraged income, because here's the reality. The top 5, really the top 2% of the wealthiest people in this country, in the world really, they don't make their money 100% off the hours that they trade to earn it. They earn their money off of the amount of hours that are at work that create the income that they're able to get, right? So there's a point. I don't care how high you're paid. I'm a lawyer. I'm a dentist. I'm a doctor. There's only so many hours you have to where you run out. And then there's only so many things you can do. And who knows if you can continue working those? Who knows if then maybe someone else needs you and there's a medical emergency and you need to invest your time, right? You can't because you're tired or you're broke at a higher level. You have to develop leveraged income. And there's one big thing I would tell you to do. Whatever your debt load is, create enough residual leveraged income that when you no longer show up to work a job, that leveraged income pays for your debt. That's one goal. If I could tell you this year accomplish that, let's say your living cost is $3,000 a month. Go on and investigate things that you could create, 1 to 2 things that you could create that could pay for that. And when you build it, it no longer needs you to be there. And now all your debt's paid by this asset or leveraged income or business that you start, okay? So I would urge you to do this. This is a lot in this number 3. Is keep your primary flow of income. If you want to build an asset for the future, you have to have income to pay for all the crap that you have before you started watching this video, before you start down the path of fixing maybe a lot of the mistakes you have already made to this point. If you already bought the house, you already have the college debt, you already have the credit cards, it's baggage, it's a weight, right? You can't just say, oh, I'm moving back with mom and filing bankruptcy. You don't want to do that, right? You got to take care of your responsibility, but start growing outside of that and get ahead so you can get out of that mess real quick. So keep a primary flow of income. This is a big one because I've met a lot of millennials that go, oh, I found a business I'm going to do, so I'm going to quit my job and build my business. And I say, what are you going to do to pay your bills? Moving in with a friend, mom. I'm like, so someone else is going to pay for your bad choices so that you can go try to build a wonderful life. That's not how it works, right? That's not how you should approach it. Keep your primary flow, and then I would advise you to find a secondary flow to create the leveraged income. Not 1,000 things. So many people get in the excitement of starting a business, right? I'm going to start a business, and then I'm going to start another one, and then I'm going to do YouTube videos, and then I'm going to be affiliate marketing. They do all these things, but they fail at it all. Keep a primary flow to take care of your mess, and develop one main secondary source of income that you are going to devote everything to get done and get it done. Don't start something and not finish it, right? Start it with the intent that I'm not going to stop till it's done, okay? Anyways, by the way, when you start a business, you get to control your biggest costs, which are taxes, right? You get to find something. Here's some tips, by the way. Find something in your main flow, your secondary flow, right? You got your job and then you got another business. You need to find something that works out for you while maintaining that. So no huge risk, right? Low risk. Still have a job and you're building a secondary source of income. Find a business that hits as many different markets in that business without having to go into multiple businesses. So a lot of people ask, why did I choose shop.com? Because I can get paid on everything. I don't just get paid on travel or coffee or supplements or who else knows, I get paid on every multi-billion or trillion-dollar market, and then all of online sales, I get a piece of it. So I have to invest my time here and then I get paid on all these different things without having to be a million different places. So I'd urge you, if it's not shop.com, find something that does. If it's in one industry, one product, one little network and niche, stay away from it. It's going to require you too much time, too much effort, and you don't have that when you have a primary flow of income, all right? And lastly, find a business that allows you to be nimble so you can build it anywhere. That's a big one for me is you shouldn't be tied to a location. You should be able to say, hey, I'm in Hawaii, I'm in California, I'm in Massachusetts. It doesn't matter. My business still earns despite me having to physically be there to build it or maintain it. So these are the 3 tips. Number 1, stay financially nimble. Have control to do it. It'll pay off in a big way. Number 2, be willing to outwork anyone, okay? Everyone. Do whatever it takes. When everyone's going on vacation, complaining and all that stuff, you're still building that asset or the assets in your life. And number 3, make sure you develop leveraged income outside of what you can do. That's all I got for you guys.